Imane Khalif, the Olympic gold medalist in women's boxing at the 2024 Paris Games, has found herself at the center of yet another controversy, as a medical report revealing the results of her sex test from the 2023 World Championships has been leaked. This leaked document, which claims to show that Khalif may be biologically male, has ignited a firestorm of debate surrounding her eligibility to compete in women's boxing events. The report, which was made public just 36 hours after World Boxing's ruling that Khalif must undergo sex screening for future competitions, has raised questions about fairness, gender verification in sports, and the legitimacy of the testing process. The release of the medical report concerning Imane Khalif came at a particularly critical and sensitive time in her career, further complicating an already contentious situation. Khalif, who had already been subjected to intense public scrutiny due to her physical traits and the ongoing debate over her gender identity, was embroiled in a fierce battle with World Boxing regarding her eligibility to compete in women's boxing events. The timing of the leak could not have been more significant, as it emerged just days after World Boxing had ruled that Khalif must undergo sex verification tests to be eligible to participate in future competitions within the women's category. The document, which was published by 3 Wire Sports, detailed the findings of a sex verification test conducted on Khalif during the 2023 World Championships in New Delhi. These tests were conducted after Khalif was disqualified from the competition, sparking a series of events that would fuel the controversy surrounding her participation in women's sports. The test results, which revealed that Khalif had XY chromosomes, commonly associated with males, have now become the centerpiece of the ongoing debate about her eligibility. The finding of a male karyotype, as indicated in the medical report, has reignited widespread speculation and controversy regarding Khalif's gender and her right to compete in women's boxing events. The release of this medical report at such a crucial juncture has intensified the public discourse about the fairness and integrity of women's sports. Khalif's opponents, both within the sporting world and on social media, seized on this new information to question her gender, further fueling accusations that her participation in women's sports was somehow unfair. These new revelations have deepened the division, with some calling for stricter measures to ensure that only biologically female athletes compete in women's categories. At the same time, others argue that Khalif's achievements and her status as a woman should not be undermined by unfounded speculation. The medical report, which was presented on official letterhead from Dr. Lal Pathlabs in New Delhi, an accredited laboratory with certification from the American College of Pathologists and the International Organization for Standardization, carries considerable weight in the ongoing debate. This adds credibility to the findings, even though the International Olympic Committee, IOC, and other governing bodies have questioned the legitimacy of the results. IOC spokesperson Mark Adams had previously dismissed the test results as ad hoc and not legitimate, but the involvement of a certified laboratory complicates this dismissal, increasing the pressure on the IOC to justify its stance. For Khalif, the timing of the leak has been detrimental. The results, which had been kept confidential for months, have now been thrust into the public eye, forcing Khalif to confront the question of her gender once again. The leak not only casts doubt on her eligibility to compete but also amplifies the personal and professional toll that the controversy has taken on her. With her physical attributes continually scrutinized, Khalif is forced into an uncomfortable and invasive position, where her identity is questioned based on her athletic performance and biology rather than her hard-earned achievements. The leak also follows World Boxing's earlier ruling, which required Khalif to submit to further sex verification tests before being allowed to compete in future women's events. This decision had already set a dangerous precedent, signaling that Khalif's future in the sport could be compromised by the scrutiny of her biological sex. The subsequent publication of the medical results only further entrenches this problem, leaving Khalif with few options but to either comply with the testing or continue to fight to prove that she belongs in women's boxing, despite the controversy surrounding her gender. The situation has now escalated into a battle not just for Khalif's place in women's boxing but also for the larger issue of how gender is defined in competitive sports. The leak of the medical report, combined with the backlash Khalif has faced, underscores the deep tensions between maintaining fairness in women's competitions and recognizing the rights of athletes whose physical development or biology do not conform to traditional gender categories. It has raised critical questions about how governing bodies should navigate these complexities and protect athletes from discrimination based on their biological traits. The medical report at the center of the ongoing controversy regarding Imane Khalif's eligibility to compete in women's boxing has revealed a startling set of results. According to the findings of the chromosome analysis performed on Khalif, the test revealed that she has XY chromosomes, biological markers typically associated with males. This discovery has become the focal point of a public debate that has raised serious questions about Khalif's gender, her participation in women's sports, and the fairness of sex verification procedures in athletics. The report, which was made public by journalist Alan Abrahamson, includes detailed information from a sex verification test conducted on Khalif in March 2023. This test was carried out during her disqualification from the World Championships, where Khalif's eligibility to compete in the women's category was called into question after concerns were raised about her physical development and strength. The disclosure of these results has amplified the controversy surrounding Khalif's identity, as it directly challenges her status as a female athlete. The report asserts that Khalif's chromosomal makeup is XY, which refers to the male pattern of chromosomes, a genetic composition typically associated with men. This revelation has placed Khalif at the heart of an intense public debate, with critics using the test results to question her right to compete in women's sports. The findings have become even more contentious due to the involvement of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, which had previously expressed concerns about Khalif's DNA and gender identity. Abrahamson had earlier disclosed that the IOC had been alerted to the possibility that Khalif's genetic composition might not align with traditional female characteristics, contributing to the controversy and suspicions surrounding her participation in women's boxing events. The medical report was issued by Dr. Lal Pathlabs in New Delhi, a reputable laboratory accredited by the American College of Pathologists and certified by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. The lab's credentials lend significant credibility to the findings, adding weight to the argument that the test results should be taken seriously. However, the release of these findings has been met with mixed reactions, particularly from the IOC, which has disputed the legitimacy of the results. IOC spokesman Mark Adams dismissed the test as ad hoc and not legitimate during a tense press conference at the Paris Olympics, further deepening the divide over how the findings should be interpreted. The IOC's dismissal of the results stands in stark contrast to the findings in the medical report, raising questions about the authority and validity of the IOC's stance. The IOC's comments have fueled suspicions that there may be political or institutional reasons behind their rejection of the medical report, particularly given the involvement of the International Boxing Association, IBA, which is headed by Russia's Umar Kremlov. The IOC's strained relationship with the IBA, compounded by issues surrounding ethics and financial management, has added another layer of complexity to the situation. The publication of the medical report has further complicated the already difficult situation for Khalif, whose future in women's boxing is now shrouded in uncertainty. Despite the IOC's rejection of the test results, the report's findings have been officially documented, and the results cannot be ignored. For Khalif, the release of this report means she is once again forced to defend her identity and eligibility to compete, as the medical findings continue to be used by her critics to challenge her right to participate in women's competitions. Ultimately, the contents of the medical report and the contrasting responses from the IOC and other governing bodies underscore the deep divisions that exist over how gender is defined in sports. The situation has sparked a larger conversation about the complexities of sex verification in athletics, particularly when athletes possess physical attributes that don't neatly fit into traditional gender categories. Khalif's case has become a flashpoint in the ongoing debate about fairness, inclusivity, and the rights of athletes to compete based on their gender identity, and the fallout from the release of these findings is likely to resonate in the world of sports for years to come. The release of the medical report showing that Imane Khalif has XY chromosomes has ignited a firestorm of controversy, further exacerbated by the response from the International Olympic Committee, IOC. The IOC, which had already expressed concerns about Khalif's gender and eligibility to compete in women's sports, has now cast doubt on the legitimacy of the results, adding another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. IOC President Thomas Bach has been particularly vocal in dismissing the findings, going so far as to suggest that the results could be part of a larger Russian-led misinformation campaign. This claim has added a political dimension to the issue, as Bach pointed to the involvement of the International Boxing Association, IBA, which had been stripped of its IOC recognition due to ongoing ethical and financial issues. The IBA, led by Umar Kremlov, has been embroiled in controversy and disputes with the IOC, which has only intensified the tensions surrounding the case. Bach's comments have fueled suspicions that the IOC's rejection of the test results is not just a matter of medical validity but could be influenced by geopolitical factors and long-standing institutional conflicts. The IOC